In this video, I'm going to be looking at a game from Strategy and Tactics number 235. This actually was a double issue featuring two games in the Cold War battle system. One, I think was Angola. Am I right about that? Angola 87, yeah. And Budapest 56. This one's going to focus on Budapest 56. But I believe this system is kind of a spin-off of the SPI Modern War Battles quad, and it's certainly not the same system. I'm fairly sure this game was designed by Joe Miranda. He's the one that kind of adapted this system, and I was interested in Budapest 56, which covers the rebellion against the Soviets in 1956. And one of the reasons I was interested in this is because in 1991, I had an opportunity to spend a week in Budapest. And, which was, I think, like 35 years after the Budapest rebellion happened in 1956. And of course, there's a lot of history in Budapest. And I can tell you, it was not a beautiful city at all. It was, I don't know how to describe it. I didn't find it beautiful. I found it very concrete block. There's still damage from the 1956 war, battle, rebellion. There was damage even from World War II still, from 1945. But, the food was great. The people were very interesting. The language, Magyar's, quite alien to someone like me. But anyway, this game basically it does have random events, but these are just very basic that are added into the game. And it has, it's the I go, you go turn system. And there are a few special rules in here, but the victory points are on geographic holdings and destruction of certain enemy forces. And there is a special rule on rubble that is created if you end up using certain firepower in urban hexes, you might have the consequence of creating rubble, which is actually good defensive terrain. So anyway, I'm going to go through a few of the things that I gleaned from playing through Budapest 56. So on November 4th, 1956, the game represents turn 1, and the Soviets have decided to roll their forces into Budapest to try to put down the Hungarian rebellion. Of course, this is in spite of the protests of Prime Minister Nagy. The Soviet commander has the 2nd Guard Mechanized Division, which is attacking from the north. And one column is going to enter in along the Danube, while the other column is 3 miles to the east. The 33rd Mechanized Division is striking from the east, and then the 128th Infantry Division is attacking from the west. And you can see in the picture, the rebellion forces are scattered throughout the city, holding on to important objectives. So the Soviet player starts and enters their units as reinforcements. Also, the Soviets have 6 TAC units, tactical air combat units, and 1 helicopter transport unit. So the tactical air combat is used at a cost in enhancing the attacks, because if they create rubble, which they can do as like collateral damage, it will give the Hungarians victory points. The helicopter can move special forces units onto the map, and that can be quite valuable. And these air assets are available to the Soviets each turn. And you can see I have in the picture, special forces land by transport helo, and you can see the units landing there along the Danube River. So as the 33rd Guard rolls in, they end up capturing the railroad station on the outskirts. That's going to give them victory points. the 100th Artillery Battalion is deployed there. Then the 2nd Guard is going to take some action. The 2-5 and the 3-5 battalions capture the Arpad Bridge, and headquarters at the railroad station at Becca Square 1 is surrounded by the 3-7 Mech Battalion and the 237 Tank Battalion. And so the headquarters surrenders. It is a 007 unit, so it's not going to put up much of a fight. So the railroad station is captured. Then a little bit to the north of that battle is the 137 tank and the 1-4 mechanized attack is launched against the 16th National Guard headquarters, which is another 007 headquarters unit and another surrender, and the railroad station there is also occupied. This is very successful here for the Soviets. Then the 33rd Guard goes into action. The 3104 Mech Battalion attacks the Hungarian 19th Air Defense Unit at Barossa Square. The Soviets, in this case, are going to choose the mobile combat results table and force the Air Defense Unit to retreat. Next, the garrison of the 12th National Guard of the Hungarians is attacked at the railroad station at Barossa Square. The Soviet 2106 Mech and the 133 tank both attack using the mobile combat results table, and the result is BR. So the Hungarian player decides to convert this result to an exchange. So the National Guard and the 2106 are both eliminated. The 133 tank then captures the railroad station, but with cost. Then the 2nd and 3rd of the 33rd Tank Battalions capture another railroad station near Madyavela Square, which ends up being another 007 headquarters dummy unit. So this went quite well for the Soviets again. Then we go to the Special Corps. 2 reconnaissance battalions attack the 6th National Guard garrison on the docks to the south. The result is another BR, which is converted by the Hungarians to exchange. So the National Guard unit is wiped out, but it takes out the 2nd Recon with it. In this case, this was an objective hex, so it's presumed that the defense is very is intense in these cases. So there's a 3 leftward column on the attack when you are going against an objective hex. So, but in the end, the 1st Recon Battalion captures the docks. Then the 128th Guard attacks the Writers Union headquarters at the Citadel. So this time the attack is repulsed, interestingly. So 3 of the Soviet infantry battalions retreat, and the 1st Special Forces Battalion, which was a transport helicopter unit, ends up retreating across the Danube River. So I'm imagining here the Writers Union has a number of heroes on hand at this point. There's also an attack at the castle, and this is also repulsed by 2 garrisons, the Kasuth and the Vazja. And there are no losses in this battle. Then the 128th Tank Battalion, which is also supported by the 128th Artillery, attack the 89th Anti-Tank Battalion, which retreats from Bem Square. Unfortunately, in this time, the Soviet artillery renders Bem Square to rubble, and that's going to give the Hungarians victory points for that collateral damage. So if I was to do an assessment overall on what happened on turn 1, the Soviets did capture 6 objectives, but they did cause some rubble, so they have a net of 5 victory points. But there's also been a disparity in casualties, and both sides have lost 2 real units, but the victory points is 2 for the Soviets and 4 for the rebels. So the victory point allotment at this point is in the favor of the Hungarians, 5-2. And then we move to the Hungarian player turn. So they have the reinforcement phase. They bring 2 rebel units on board and 1 mechanized battalion from the Hungarian army, and they're deployed in defensive positions. None of the Hungarians are locked into enemy zones of control, and therefore they choose to remain on the defensive and to not counterattack. This ends turn 1 of this game, and I thank you for watching, and stay tuned if you'd like to see more of this action.